Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Excelcast. I'm your host, Joe Barker, and today I have a man who I went to Kings with and I played football with, Sal Mistretta. Sal, how are you doing today, man?
Good, man. How about you? How's everything been going?
Everything's been going wonderful, man. So tell us a little bit about what you've been up to recently.
Yeah. Graduated, like you said, from Kings in 2021. From there, been kind of working 9 to 5 corporate job. Graduated, majored in finance. Um, yeah, and then about a year into that, picked up professional wrestling. It's been a dream of mine ever since I was a kid. The kind of, been watching it for a while. Kind of like watched it when I was growing up. Fell back out back in high school. Started watching again, and I was like, one of these days I'll get to it. I was kind of not active at all after college and after football was done. So it's like got to do something. Found a school out in Bristol, PA, Worldwide Wrestling Dojo, and yeah, been doing that since February 2022. I think was when I started. Um, yeah, it's been awesome. Been a great experience, and no, it might have been even February 21. Yeah, February 21. Excuse me. It's when I
Okay.
started. So over a year and a half. So yeah. But yeah, it's been awesome. Started working like actual shows and things like around Philly, around that area. Since like I think it was March was my first one. So yeah,
Oh,
it's been awesome experience.
yeah, dude, that's awesome. What's like one of like the
hmm
major things you like about professional wrestling?
For me, the thing that like I love is just like I think it's for me, it's like being able to kind of like it's like an escape, like like
Yeah.
it's a performance at the end of the day, and it's like you can kind of be who you want to be. You make up your own set of rules of what you want to do and how you want to entertain people. Um, and I also think a lot of the work, like you see, like kind of with like sports, like the more you put in the work, the more like you're gonna see benefits wise and what you're doing and people noticing. So um, I think just kind of being on that the grind in the beginning was awesome. It was a good thing for me, and then like now that I'm seeing it, just like being able to express myself in many different ways, many different forms, and kind of you know get away from that corporate lifestyle a little bit when I'm on the weekends when I'm not doing it. So um, yeah, it's been awesome, and also like the people that you get to perform for um, is awesome. We went to I was doing a benefit show in Newark a couple weeks ago, kind of in the inner city. All the kids there at like a recreation center, they were going nuts. They loved it. So kind of seeing that also is also really cool to see the kids coming up to you after going nuts and like, oh, what's going on? Because they think it's real, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, man. That's cool. That's cool being able to give back and like have those kids have that energy toward you and toward, the hard work that you put into becoming a professional wrestler. And
Yeah.
also, if you want to speak on a little bit, like, I know like athletes, right? Like
Yeah.
they're kind of in the entertainment industry, but not really.
hmm
You are specifically in the entertainment industry, but there's also an athletic portion. So how do you
Yes.
balance the practice of the entertainment and also the athletic part of what you do?
Yeah. So I can kind of like go into kind of how it worked, like the training kind of regimen. So,
Yeah.
the head trainer there is world famous Cheeseburger. He's been around, I think around started when he was 18. I think he's 30 now, so 12 years. Uh, so he's been around for a while, been doing it, and yeah, he kind of is a school from. He's trained at the Ring of Honor dojo, which was a really highly like touted dojo back in the day. They moved on and then Cheeseburger actually bought out that building, and that's where he runs the school. But it's kind of similar way to how they go. So the first month you're not in the ring at all. Um, it's all workouts at the on the outside, bunch of calisthenics, weightlifting, circuits, cardio, things like that. Kind of to get you in shape, but also to kind of make sure that like you really want to do this. Like I think it's more of like a weeding out process than anything.
Mm.
Obviously, it helps get you in shape, but if you're not willing to do the workouts for however long you got to do them for, usually no longer than a month. But um, yeah, like they're tough sometimes. It's 6 to 9, 3 hours, pretty much just like working out. So it's tough. Obviously with breaks in there, but it's tough to get through sometimes. But yeah, just kind of weeding them out. And then after that, you kind of get in the ring, work on your fundamentals for however long you kind of need to do that, just the fundamentals of wrestling, things like that. And then I would say probably I didn't start getting that balance. So there's a lot of stuff that you have to learn physically and fundamentally and how to move in a ring and things like that. And I don't think I really started focusing on like how I'm going to entertain and who my character is and all that stuff probably till around my debut. Like probably around like a year in, maybe March, this past March. Um, so I think that's probably where I saw like, yeah, this is kind of gonna be. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna like what I'm gonna do. I can't just do moves and not say anything in there. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
um, I think as time goes on too, you get more comfortable and you kind of figure stuff out. A lot of times you're just working in front of a crowd and you don't know how they're gonna react. So you just figure out what works and what doesn't work. A lot of that part of it is trial and error. The training, you can work in all the moves you want, and people might not. You might think it's the coolest move in the world, and no one else reacts to it. And you got to
yeah,
shot, kind of got to put them on the chopping block. But yeah, so it's been yeah for sure. It's like the trial and error with the entertainment and the balance is like it's what you want to make of it. I think at this level of like where I'm at, um, it's not a lot of like pure wrestling fans that like love the sport and things like that at these local shows. So
yeah,
you kind of that's your time to work on the entertainment factor and work on how you're interacting with these people and getting them to love you or hate you, whatever your goal is. So that's kind of where you kind of a lot of the time is like these type of shows, like trial and error kind of thing, and seeing what works and what doesn't.
yeah, man. Yeah, and I love that you mentioned that those hard workouts in the beginning, that's all
Mm,
part of the weeding out process
yeah,
because this is something that if you truly want to be a professional wrestler and you truly want to, have that impact and have it as a profession, they want to
yeah,
make sure that this truly is your dream and it
for
truly
sure.
is something that you want to do and not something that you just kind of romanticize or fantasize about and, you don't understand the hard work that goes into it. So I really like that's the approach that they took. And
Yeah,
I'm also really proud of you for sticking in there and,
yeah, appreciate that, man.
going through the
Yeah,
hard
there
work.
was there were some days where I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it through this workout, but it's like yeah, because it was also at a time where I was done with football for over a year, and I was not in the best shape of my life at that point. So,
Yeah.
um, kind of a year and a half of not doing anything. So once you
Yeah.
get back into it, though, you kind of feel it back on, coming back to you. So, got there, stuck it out, and yeah, it's been awesome. Like I said, it's been. I'm really happy that I did it, and I think like I would have regretted not ever trying it if I didn't. So,
Yeah.
really stoked that I did.
Yeah, man. Do you feel like football prepared you? Maybe not physically because it took a while for you to get back
Yeah.
into it, but even mentally?
I think mentally for sure. Like I think just the working towards a goal and working towards where you want to get to. I'm not saying like you have to come from a sport to be into it. There's a bunch of people that I know that have it, but I would say like having that mindset of being in a sport at least has helped me. Kind of I know that like it's not easy to get to goals. Like I've seen it firsthand. I've done it firsthand doing football. Like it's been you got to grind sometimes to get to where you want to go. Like it's some people it comes easy too. That's the thing in wrestling too. Some people think some things come really easy too. You it might not. You got to work for it and get to that point. So I think for sure starting at the mindset like people that don't do sports kind of I think they can get to that point, but maybe it takes a little longer for them to kind of work at that level. Um, physically wise, it's a different type of strength. Like I feel like it's a lot more calisthenics than like football. You're just kind of lifting to get as strong as you can.
Yeah.
Um, this is like lifting to like or working out to be able to control your body because you're doing some crazy stuff. So it's a little bit different, but
Yeah. A
yeah, I
little more
think
core work, like
yeah
core
for
strength.
sure
Yeah.
a lot more of that than I'm used to. But yeah, I think mentally there was definitely some advantages for me, kind of uh being being a part of like that sports kind of realm and having that background and mindset definitely helps.
Yeah. Absolutely. What has been for you like the coolest place that you've done a show at?
Oh, that's a good question. So let me think here.
And
So
why
there,
too? Like, and
yeah.
why?
So there's an art museum in Philly called Philomoka, which is pretty cool. It's like a really small area, so like everyone's really close to you. So it's like the ring's here. There's like a little stage for like bands and playing, and then it's just like one row of people. There's not a lot of people that can get there and watch, but it's like they're all right up against the ring. So that's pretty cool. I would say the other place that's pretty cool for me is just like a cool aesthetic is like I go to the State Theater in Maryland sometimes to work for a promotion down there. In Harvard, I don't know how to say it. It's Harvard de Grace or something like that, Maryland. Um, but it's pretty cool because it's just like it's a theater and it's like they have theater seating and they have like the big light coming from the top and it's just like that's just cool, like aesthetically wise. But interaction wise, I would say the Philomoka in Philly and then State Theater in Maryland, just for like the aesthetic of like a theater, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I personally haven't been to any sort of professional wrestling like that. I mean, I
Mm,
went to I think either Raw or SmackDown when I was
yeah,
younger, the Hershey
yeah,
Arena. That was kind of like, that was more for the glamour of it, though, if that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, for
I
sure.
never really had an appreciation for the fact that those people are also athletes because I knew it was, staged. But
Hmm.
whenever you actually see
Yeah,
like the training that goes into it and
yeah, for sure.
the preparation that goes into it, it's definitely a tasking job and profession to have.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's like there's only so many times like you could fall on your back on purpose without it like starting to hurt at some point where you're
Yeah,
like feeling it. And also like I mean the trading is a lot of cardio. Like it's a lot of boom, 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 nonstop stuff. So you'll come out there, burning a good amount of calories, doing whatever, sweating as much. Um, for sure. I think it does get very taxing on the body, and I also think it's like it's like to have a like you don't think to have a 15-minute match is like the longest I've ever had is probably about 20 minutes, and I was almost dead at the end of it. Like it's
yeah,
like it's tough to kind of keep going, especially sometimes at these outside venues. Like could be hot. Like you never know. Like it's tough. So, but yeah, it's yeah. I don't think you realize it until like you see it like first person and then first hand. Like what actually is like that goes into it. For sure. And I think the people also at that level make it look very easy, which is a credit to them because it's definitely not. But it's credit to them to make it look that easy. How good they are and how kind of the well-rounded they've gotten over the years.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome, man. It definitely requires a lot of hard work, like you said. What has been, I guess, the hardest part of it? I mean, I know you said the cardio. Is it the cardio, or is there a different, aspect of it that's hard? The business aspect of it doesn't even have to be physical.
Yeah, so I mean, like the business aspect is kind of strange. It's a lot like, I mean, it's a lot like just like networking in general. Like you wouldn't think of it as that way, but you don't have like someone that's gonna like go out there and get you booked on places yourself. Like you gotta like reach out to these people or pay your dues and like go help out at a show for no money wherever it is, and like make connections that way. It's very old school, but it's also very like I understand it too. Like I kind of like that it's like that. Like you kind of got to earn your way onto the show, and yeah, prove that you belong in there. Whether it's like say you work on something for them, like the first match of the show, like a big multi-man thing, just to like kind of get the crowd going. Like you got to put. It might not be the biggest spotlight that you want, but like you got to put your best foot forward into it and show that you can do that. To show that you can be as to value to them because I mean that's what they're looking for. And I would also say like it's like I would say another hard thing with it is definitely like the kind of character. I would say for me at least is I was never a great public speaker.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of talking. Um, and kind of these promos like that you pre-record and things like that. Sometimes they take me a couple takes, so it's like just trying to get that down. I think is a I think for me, when it's like not scripted or like I don't have an idea in my head like this, like I'm fine. But it's like if I know what I have to say and like I vary from it or I forget it, like I'm like, I start studying on my words and everything like that. So it's like, figuring that aspect out as well as like the character aspect and like what I think at some point the moves become easy, but like to like connect with crowds, like that's almost like it. Like you could teach, like I don't know if you could teach it. Like you kind of just have to like do it, throw yourself out there, like find something
Yeah,
that works. So you know,
yeah,
um, I would say those are kind of the most difficult things for sure. I mean the networking's like I'll reach out to millions of people. You'll like it's tough to kind of cold like message people and be like, hey, like you want to put me on your show or whatever. Like
yeah,
you'll probably reach out to hundreds and maybe like one or two will get back to you. The kind of more efficient way is to kind of go help out somewhere, meet the promoter, say, hey, you need me in the future, help out, be a good hand, just do what you can do to help out, and then yeah, get you put some. Sometimes they'll get you on a show even that day. So
yeah, yeah.
I
I
think
definitely know that from my experience, at least, messaging people to come on the podcast is
yeah,
definitely. I get a lot of people that don't answer. I get a lot of
mm-hmm,
people that say, I'm not interested. But then there's a lot of people that respond, and they're,
yeah,
just like you, they're willing to come on here, willing to share their story, willing to share, all the insights and, experiences that they've had. And you got to be able to accept those no's. You got to be able
mm-hmm,
to, maybe one weekend you come and you help set a show up, you help run a stand or run, ticket admissions up front, and they never call you back.
yeah,
And, sometimes you got to eat that.
for sure,
But it definitely shows that you love what you do, because you're not just like, oh, I love, getting those shows. Like you're like,
yeah,
no, I will do whatever it takes and I will be around it in any capacity in order
mm-hmm,
to be a part of it. And I
yeah,
think that's what's really important when people say that you got to love what you do.
for
Because if
sure.
you love what you do, you're going to want to be around it all the time, every day. And that is what's going to foster success in anything that you do. So, just with that being said, how has this impacted you as a whole?
I mean, it's like for me, like it's bringing me so much like happiness and like I've got some like great friends out of it. Like um, Cheeseburger is one of my I would call him a good friend now. Eli, who also helps out train there, I call him a good friend. A Preacher, who is another trainer, I would call him a good friend. And then all the people that I train with, like there's people that would I would just hang out with now. You know what I mean? Like some good people that I've gotten to know. Um, who would like you never would think like I would never have met these people. They're from all over the place. If I didn't do this. And I think another effect, like it's kind of given me like I think I had a little bit of experience like with the football in school, trying to have like time management balance with two separate things. Um, I think at first, like with this, like I struggled balancing work and this because I still got to work at this point. It's I'm not doing enough to pay any bills right now or anything like that. Which hopefully I get to that point and that's what I strive for. But like I still got to put some focus into work and got to be present there when I'm there, obviously. So I think I struggled with that in the beginning, for sure, and kind of figuring that balance out has been, it's been a learning experience. It's been a good one. Some wake up calls in there, but I think I'm in a good place right now, with my balance of it, and also balancing time with your family and like things like that. Just can't be. I feel like people burn out a lot, and I think, especially in wrestling, and I think, you know, it's a lot. It's discouraging, like to do what you're doing, like reaching out to people, going to shows, and not getting booked. Like people will get discouraged from that. Um, I think having those weekends too, where it's not like I'm just going to wrestle like every weekend, like having those weekends where I could go home to my family, go to see my girl, or do all that kind of stuff. It's kind of it, it was hard for me to balance that at first. So I was just like, I just want to do this, do this, do this, get my name out there. You know what I mean? I'm still less than a year in, I'm still like trying to get my name out there as much as I can. But it's like at some point you gotta like balance it out with everything else, which I think I've done a better job of. Still working on, but um, like obviously I'm not gonna stop chasing this dream, and I do want to push myself to where I can, do something with this, but I can't neglect everything else as well. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You can't be doing wrestling moves in the office. That's probably a
Hmm.
HR problem.
Yep, exactly. I can't be on my phone trying to post clips of everything, or like reaching out to promoters or, doing everything. Like, I got to be present at work or like thinking of stuff that I'm going to do at training later. Like, oh, I'm going to try this. It's um, got to be balanced. And I think, like I always want to do everything that I do, like well. Like I want to be the
Yeah.
best at everything. So, even if that's me doing two things at a time, like I want to be at my job right now. I want to be the best at that, and I want to be the best boyfriend and son and brother, and then I also want to be the best wrestler that I could be. Like, and to do that, like, I'm not saying it's not. It's definitely possible to do that
Yeah.
at all three. You just got to, figure out a way to balance it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And being present is definitely a huge part in that, because if you're not
Mm,
present in those moments, it's going to be hard for you to distinguish who you are and when you are. Like,
for sure.
you can't be Sturdy Sal when you're hanging
Yeah.
out with, your mom or your
Yeah,
girlfriend. Like,
exactly.
it's
You know
just
what
not.
I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
like you gotta have a switch. So,
Yeah.
like, turn it on, turn it off. So,
Yeah.
um,
Do you have
yeah,
any methods of like activating that switch? Like, I don't know if you do any like breath work or anything like that to kind of transition yourself or.
so I don't do any breath work really. I think for me, I'm naturally a more like I'm not like a quiet guy when you get to know me, but like, like if I'm going out in front of all these people, like, I think naturally I wouldn't be like, going out there going crazy and all that. I think for me it's like I don't even think I realize I do it, but like just closing my eyes, sitting down and kind of just like changing my mentality a little bit, like, like getting like how you would for pregame, like whatever you would do
Yeah.
to like kind of get in that mode to like um for me it's just like close my eyes, like think about what I'm gonna do, like, think about how picture myself out there and like being what I want to be before visualizing it before I'm going out there. I think for me is a thing that I do because I think naturally I'm more of the person at work and with my family. Like Sturdy Sal is not natural to me to go out there and
Yeah.
do that. So for me, I definitely have to turn that on. So yeah, I would say just for me, it's visualizing like, hey, this is what I want to look like. This is what I want to look like. This is what I want to do. This is kind of how I want them to react to me. And to do that, I got to get fired up and get get in the zone. So kind of what I would do, what I do beforehand.
Okay. Yeah, I can. It's definitely good to take that moment to visualize what you want, especially when you're doing something like performing or public speaking or
Yeah,
anything like that. You want to get yourself in that mindset. You want to clear out all that extra noise that you have going on. Maybe something happened at work. You don't want
yeah,
to have something that happened at work even move into your performance when you're wrestling. Because if
yeah,
you're thinking about a form you forgot to fill out at work, you're not going to be the best Sturdy Sal that you can be, and vice
exactly.
versa when it comes to performance at wrestling and then going into work.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I like that you have like that moment to yourself where you kind of like get into character,
For
and you
sure.
kind of like you gain energy from that a little bit. You're like, this
Yeah,
do okay, I can do it.
like yeah.
Yeah,
It's like corny, but it's just like I'm closing my eyes, and when I open them again, it's like, all right, I'm Sturdy Sal now. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's like quick, like transform like into that. You know?
Yeah, dude. Your imagination's key when it comes to that. Your imagination
Mm,
is key when it comes to anything in life. And I feel like as we grew up a little bit, I mean, I know me personally,
yeah,
I was taught that, oh, like kids have imagination. Like, no, if you're an adult, like an imagination is a superpower. Like if I go to run, like, and I think that I'm a really fast runner, I'm gonna run faster than if I think I'm tired and I think,
yeah,
oh, I can't run today. I'm slow. I ate too much, or whatever. If I go outside, like I'm an Olympic runner. I may not run like an Olympic runner as fast, but I'm going to be faster than if I think that I'm a guy who never runs.
for sure, for sure. I think imagination is definitely key, especially like for like performing. Like you
Yes.
gotta like for you like content creating like podcasts, like coming up with ideas like to kind of just change like innovate stuff. You know what I mean? Like you kind of gotta like go into that bag of like maybe some stuff is like silly, but like at first, but then like you weed it out and it becomes like something that like you could realistically apply to what you're doing. You know what I mean? So, for
Yeah,
sure, I think it's a big part of our adult life, and I agree. Like people are like, "Oh, it's just a kid's imagination." Like you need it. Like you need
yeah.
it for your real life too.
Yeah, because if you never take a chance on yourself and you never step out of that realm of conservatism,
Yeah,
staying in that one lane, if you never take those little risks and those little chances, which is your imagination because you're taking a step out of what is known or what you're used to, you can never really grow as a person. You'll
sure,
grow vertically to some extent, but you'll never grow horizontally and become that well-rounded person that we're all meant to be. So,
sure.
yeah, imagination is definitely key. And especially in your field as well. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. You gotta. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's a break a little bit, like from your job, or do you feel like it's more of a goal?
I mean, I think it's an escape, but I also think it's a goal. Like it's been a dream of mine too. Like I
Yeah.
don't think it's become the point where it's like I'm just doing this to get away from my job. Like I think it's an escape, obviously, from all that because it's
Yeah.
something completely different. Like you're like just whatever. You're a whole new person. But I think for me, it's like something that I've kind of like. I think at first for me, it was something to get me going, get me active, and then I kept going, and like months came in. I'm like, oh, I'm not too bad at this. Oh, like I kind of really like this a lot. Like it's something that I could see myself like, pushing for, like a goal that I could see myself going for. So I think for me, it's more at this point, it's more of a goal, and that could change as you get older and things, circumstances change. But right now, like I'm young, like I'm 24, got my whole life ahead of me, hopefully. So we'll just keep, pushing for that goal and try to get as much as we can out of this. I think right now, for me, it's about getting eyes on me and like getting myself as much out there as I can. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. But you catch one break and you know, one clip goes viral or something. You never know with the world and how it is today. So I'm just right. Yeah, right now, I'd say it's definitely more of a goal to kind of get to that next level for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like as people, when we go to achieve our goals and we achieve our dreams, we become better versions of ourselves. And when we become better versions of ourselves, it also allows for those around us to become better versions of themselves. So even though you already have a good job, a good day
Mm-hmm.
job, how did this specific occurrence of going after a goal, something that you love, change your family's perspective or your close community's perspective on how they approach things?
Yeah, and I think um, for for that, like you see it a lot, like with like um I think my dad, who had diagnosed with Parkinson's last year, I think he kind of saw me going for this and was like, like I want to be able to go see him all the time when I'm going, like, so he's started to do, there's this thing called rock steady boxing. That's kind of like boxing to help with like the symptoms of that. So he's been going to that, get his medicine right. So, trying to improve that as much as possible in the short term. Like, I think a lot of the time you kind of see it, like you said, benefit the people around you. Um, like I think it's like my girlfriend, like just graduated PA school, like she's like finished that, so she's gonna be. She already knows how to grind, but she like I think she sees me doing this, and I would hope it gives her a little extra push. You know what I mean? Like, um, so yeah, for sure. I think the people around you, like family and friends, like I think my friends think it's like friends think it's like awesome. Like they're just like, oh, this is like sick. You know what I mean? They're not like,
Yeah,
they're just like, this is like, I get to tell people that I have a friend that does wrestling. Like, you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
but it's like it's cool and it's awesome because it's like I had a show in my hometown and it's like all of them came out to support me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I
yeah,
think I kind of forgot like how close of like how close I was with that group of people from my hometown and like how much we really love each other because I moved out to Philly and like we don't see each other as much, but like something like that, all of them would come out for and come say what's up, and I think it's the same thing if someone else did something like that. So it's just a good reminder, like it got us all together again, for that day at least, and you know, just kind of trying to push anyone that like kind of watches something like this or anything like that, like that kind of to go for it, like it's no matter how unrealistic, like people are gonna tell you like you nuts, like it's unrealistic, or like just go for it. Like you could work to whatever you want to be. Um, you know, persistence, hard work, Um, and if you really want it and you go after it, there's nothing stopping you really. Like you could sky's the limit at that point. And um it's kind of just like it's like just keep banging into the wall, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like until like just don't stop. If you really want it, like, there's a way to get there. And I think there's gonna be roadblocks that I come across like as I'm going forward. And I think kind of the start of my career and how I started, and it's gonna benefit me a lot because it shows that like there's a million different ways to do things. And if you keep going against it, keep pushing, like you'll find a way.
Yeah. And I feel like having the balanced lifestyle that you have, where you have your job and then you have
Hmm.
hanging out with your girl, you have hanging out with your friends, you have all those different aspects of it. It allows you to take that step back in a measured out manner. You don't
Hmm.
have to get to a point of burnout where then you take that step back. It's a constant refocusing of what's going on in life, what's important in your life, and how
Yeah,
you should proceed, with wrestling or with anything in life for anyone
for
that's
sure.
listening. Also, though, I don't think that you should underestimate the impact that you have on your friends
Yeah,
because you all grew up and you all watched wrestling. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And they're like, wow, like we watch wrestling and we always talked about being wrestlers, and Sal's a wrestler. Like Sal's
yeah.
actually a professional wrestler. Like,
No,
dude,
yeah, I think
yeah,
it's more like that. Like they're like they like see the stuff that I do and they like think it's insane. I
yeah,
think they're very like impressed, but like it's like yeah, they love it. Like they think it's awesome, obviously. But yeah, it's definitely like they see it as like it's cool, but it's like it's also like insane. Like you know what I mean? Like who would ever
yeah,
thought at a point? So
yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
dude, like you always loved wrestling and you
yep.
became a wrestler. So even though they may like be like to you, like, yo, Sal, you're a wrestler, like, dude, they may go home and be like, wow, like I've always wanted to, own my own business, or I've
Something
always
like that.
wanted
Yeah,
to get into, this industry or that industry. And you may motivate them even subconsciously to go after what they want to go after and what they want to achieve in life. So don't ever underestimate yourself and
yeah,
your hard work and your aspirations toward your dreams.
for sure. Yeah, and I think like that goes for like anyone too. Like just like that effect of like you wanting to do something and then going after it. It's just like it's contagious. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you show people that it's possible. And
Hmm.
speaking of dreams, that's your word, is
Yeah,
dream.
yeah,
And I think it's pretty cool that you chose that to be your word, considering that this for a while was kind of just in your subconscious mind and it was just something that you always thought about, probably daydreamed about, and it got to the point where you wanted to do something about it.
hmm
So, you know, tell me a little bit about why you chose dream and what all, how everything coincided to make this your dream and why you chose to act on it.
yeah. I mean, for the word that I chose, like I think a lot of people go through like life and they have these things that they want to do, like you said, and they never end up like doing it or following through with it, or maybe they'll start it kind of, and something up will come in the way, like work or whatever. And I think for me, like I've always run off like my dreams and my ambitions of where I want to be um in life, whether it's like growing up with like football, things like that. I mean, like growing up, like until like I realized, probably wasn't possible, but like I was probably one of the last people that realized that it wasn't possible. Like I wanted to be in the NFL, I wanted to be a football player, just like every little kid. And I think that got with me until like who knows, probably high school. Like I was like realistically thinking like, there's a shot at it. And I think that kind of that motivation and having that kind of, I think you become your best self when you kind of go after something like that you really want, because you're gonna, like, if you really want it, you're gonna put all the work in necessary, and you're gonna uh make all the change, and you're gonna dedicate yourself to that. um and I think all of that's usually gonna be beneficial to you in other aspects of life. No matter, I mean, I may never accomplish it. Who knows? Obviously, I'm hoping it does, but, and I'm speaking into existence that I will. But if I never become a professional wrestler with like WWE or one of the bigger companies, like, I know what I take from this made me a better person in the end. So I think dreams are just very important to have, uh, and very important to go after. I think you should always kind of, always, whatever your dream is, like, go for it, try it. Like, if it doesn't work out, it never works out. But I'm guarantee you, there's going to be something that you take away from it that helps you in your life. And I think with the second part of that question, how it kind of manifested for me, it was just like I needed to do something. I needed to change something. I wasn't happy with where I was at. Um, and this has always been something that I wanted to do. And, I think if, like, you kind of come in at first a little skeptical, and keep going, and I guess you stick with it and you keep going, and eventually you get to that point where it's like, I think I could do this, like, so um but I think that's kind of just me, because I know I wanted it. Me sticking with it kind of is how it kind of manifested itself into where I am now, and hopefully into the future, even bigger and better things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a big importance that comes with going after your goals. Because when you go after big goals, it makes all the other goals and everything else seem very easy when you start to accomplish your goals.
Sure.
Just for an example, like the gym, right? When you're PRing for the first time, say you're PRing at 185, you get 185 on the bench. You will get to a point where you're PRing for 245, 265 on the bench. And 185, you're doing that for reps, but there was a point where 185 was your PR. Same thing
Yeah.
with your goals. If you want to be able to run, I don't know, half marathon in under 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you run a bunch of 5Ks or a bunch of 10Ks, as your time starts to dwindle down and get lower and lower and lower, if someone goes, "Hey, do you want to go on a quick 5K run for 35 minutes, a half hour?" You're like, "Oh yeah, dude, like that's easy for me."
Easy.
Like, because, but it may have not started out like that. And that's the importance of chasing your dreams, is that you can apply in life every single aspect of dream chasing to any other facet or journey of your life. So I think going after the big goal or your dream, no matter how hard it is definitely important, because it allows for you to be able to grow quicker in all of the other aspects of your life. Excuse
For
me.
sure. And
Yeah.
I think, like you said, it's like, for me, it's like when you're going after a goal, all the little milestones that you go past, like, they feel like even better, because
Yeah.
you're on that step to where you want to be. Um, like, for me, it was like I got to wrestle my trainer, a couple weeks ago, and that was awesome for me. Like, I never thought I would be in that position. Like, like, it's just those things. Like, it meant the world to me. Like, and I think as you go along, and all these little milestones that you keep stacking up as you go into your goal, they mean more, and they give you more confidence in yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you like, I know you train at a dojo. Did you actually wrestle him, or did you guys like put on a wrestling show?
Yes, so it is on YouTube.
Okay.
If you guys want to go watch it, I will tag it, Worldwide Wrestling Dojo's YouTube, episode 50, Sturdy
Okay.
Sal versus Cheeseburger. Um, there's also a great bunch of great up and coming wrestlers that uh he posts on there as well, that have matches. A bunch of my colleagues. So encourage everyone to go check that out if they're interested in that. Definitely some cool stuff in there. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think on Spotify too, I can drop links.
Yeah,
Um
so yeah, for sure. That's
description.
just the whole YouTube page. Every week
Yeah.
is dropping a match of some new guys. So um, Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Awesome,
all
man.
of them are great and they should be checked out. But if you want to see that one, episode 50, me and Cheeseburger.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I love the community that you have with your guys. Like just the fact that you shouted those guys out right now is
Yeah.
awesome because I feel like when you have a community of guys like that, you guys have a mutual respect because you guys go
Hmm.
through the same things. You guys form a brotherhood, you form a bond because you're interested in the same things. And you also have to go through the same workouts, like that initial
Yeah.
conditioning. I'm sure after that initial conditioning, you look at some of those guys and you're like, yo, what's Cheeseburger doing, man? Like,
For sure.
what's
For
going on
sure.
here? Like that
Yeah.
little moment definitely brought you guys together because you were all on the same page. Like, yo,
Yeah.
what are we doing? You
And I
know,
think I think that's a testament to how they run it there too, because I think
yeah,
not every place is like that. Um, like I think there's definitely some places where there's favoritism shown and there's kind of more
mm,
competing against each other than it is kind of working together to grow as a school in general. And I think like Cheeseburger and Preacher, they've done a great job of just like making us like we're all kind of bring each other up together. Like if
yeah.
we all like come up together, like it would be better for everyone. So I think there's definitely some places out there that probably are not the same way, and I think that's a testament to how they run it and just the people that they are that they kind of uh run it that way as well.
Yeah, man, they put their chips on their team and on
Hmm.
how they have taught you guys how to be
Yeah,
and the impact that they have on you, not only as professional wrestlers, but also as people.
for
So
sure,
I feel
for
like
sure.
that's a testament definitely to how they run their program and who they are as well.
Hmm.
And I'm glad that you found a group of people that those are their values and that's what they stand
Yeah,
for.
for sure. For sure. I kind of just got lucky. Like I was like, this place is close by. I heard of Cheeseburger before, obviously. Went and kind of met him. He's a cool dude, so I was like, all right, I'll try this out. And I fell into a great spot. I think if I was at other places, it wouldn't have been the same for me. I wouldn't have loved it as much as I do. So, for sure.
Yeah. Hey, you're definitely on the right path, Sal.
Hmm.
I'm really happy that you haven't fallen into like corporate America, 9 to 5, come home. Like you found what I'm trying to say is that you found a way to like positively put your energy into something, and it seems to really have been doing, you know, a really good thing for you. And I'm
For
glad
sure.
to see that for you.
For sure. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And same goes to you, man. This podcast, everything that you're doing, it's been great. Like, I listened to it, like to some of the guests have had on here. Um, Obviously my boy Mondo's been on here.
Yeah,
Bunch of great guests on here. So, you're doing your thing and like it's a similar thing. Like you had this vision and you're not gonna stop to get until you get to where you want to be with it. It's different avenues, but it's same concept of kind of going after a dream.
yeah, absolutely. Putting in consistent work, consistent effort, and telling yourself that you're going to do something and doing it, it builds your self confidence to a point
Hmm.
where you realize that there isn't anything that you can't do. You can accomplish anything that you set your mind to. That's a lot of
Sure,
what you've been touching on here in the podcast episode, man. And
for
I'm a
sure.
firm believer in it because I've lived it. I used to not talk to anyone. I used to hate public speaking. I used to not enjoy conversation. I was like, well, I work out a lot. I'm okay. I'm doing my thing. I'm focused on myself. I'm focused on what I'm doing, and that's okay. I don't need to speak to anyone. I don't need to talk to anyone. And I realized somewhere along the way that that's not how you're supposed to be. That's
No,
not how your mindset should be. Like I would walk in the gym, not talk to anyone, head down. Now I'm in the gym having full on conversations with people. I'm getting my workout in, obviously,
yeah,
but
for sure.
I'm networking with people in there, and I want to build a community mindset. I want to build a mindset of we. If you see me, you know that I'm a person that you can have a conversation with or talk to. I'm not, the guy who just comes in the gym and leaves after he's done his
For sure.
workout. And
Yeah,
my mindset on that has definitely changed, and it's changed for the better. And this
for sure.
podcast has definitely helped me with that. So I'm glad I made the decision to do this, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome, and yeah, it's like you said, it's also a thing of like always being like that respectful guy, like being being a cool person, being a nice person. Like you never know who it is you're talking to at any point in
Yeah.
time. Um, so just treat everyone with respect. Be a good person. You know, have conversations. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to talk to you. All right, but
Yeah.
just being that
Yeah.
person. Because
Yeah.
sure, like the network you make from all that is more beneficial than anything that you could probably do. Networking is key in wrestling and in what you're doing in business. Um, you know,
Absolutely, man. And the more you approach those people and the more opportunities that are brought from that, it's a blessing. It's always a blessing. And I feel like if you don't do those things, it's oftentimes you regret it because you're like, wow, like I didn't even talk to that person, but like I was kind of telling myself like, oh, you should go say like
yeah.
something to them. And specifically the other day I was in the gym and I briefly for a minute started a clothing company, a Christian clothing company.
Mhm.
And I was like, there was something like eating at me, like as I was leaving, it was like, no, like go talk to this guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was literally right about to walk out the door and I finally go, all right, fine. Like I'll go talk to this guy. Walk up to him. He goes, oh, hey, like my name's, his name, Leo. I didn't know if I should say it or not, but his name's Leo. And he was like, yeah, man, like I'm looking to start a Christian clothing company. Like, oh, you work at the SBDC. Like, do you know anything about that? I'm like, do I know anything about that? I was like, that's wild. See
Well,
myself. So that's insane that you just
exactly.
said that. I was like, not only
Exactly.
do I know the business aspect of it, but I understand where you're coming from when it comes from design, values, everything, man. So that
Yeah,
was a
that's
specific
awesome.
example where it was eating at me. Like it was like, you better not leave and not talk to this guy. And I was
For
like, all right,
sure.
I'll go talk to him.
Oh,
So
you always go with your gut, man. That's what
yeah,
I've learned too. Just, if you got a feeling about something, go do it. For sure, something like that, especially. Uh, that's awesome.
yeah, absolutely, man. But yeah, also you have a quote to share. What's that quote?
Yes. Yes. So it's a quote from Manny Pacquiao, actually. So it is, "Thank you to every person who has ever told me I can't. You're just another reason that I will." I feel like for me, the quote, I don't even think I have like a lot of haters or doubters, like, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
I think people see me, um, like me, like I'm not a huge dude, like 5'5", I'm sturdy, obviously, because the whole wrestling thing. But like I'm a bigger dude, but not like tall or anything like that. I think coming into football, that was a big thing. Like like what's a 5'5" guy gonna do playing linebacker? We got these 6'2" dudes. You know what I mean? And I think I think it's not them saying it to me, but it's almost me convincing myself that it's like
yeah,
this is what's happening, and I have to go even that much harder to
yeah,
get to where I want to be. And it's the same with wrestling. Obviously it's a lot different now. You don't have to be as jacked as the Ultimate Warrior or Hulk Hogan, but there's people that are built like me out there. But I think for me, it's just like I see these other people, and it's like I know I have to work extra hard to get to where I want to be. And that's not a bad thing. Like that's not like a handicap on me. It's just like what it is, and that's gonna make me a better person in the end. It's gonna be make me better than all these people. And for sure, I've had people also like straight up doubt me about things, but I don't think it's like a lot. But I think that fuels and that mindset fuels of like kind of just having a chip on your shoulder, no matter what you're doing. Um, Not even like an angry chip, just like a okay, like I get it. Like now I got to put this work in. Like I think anger can also be good sometimes, but I think it's got to be more of like understanding where you're at and just like using it as fuel. Knowing what the stigma is and using it as fuel and like trying to break it. For sure. So I think that's kind of why that quote resonated with me because I think I have heard it in the past and it's also fueled me to kind of get to where I want to be. But also, it's just like a chip that I always have on my shoulder with everything. So yeah,
yeah. We often put those chips on ourselves, right? Like, I mean, granted, sometimes someone can say something directly to you,
yeah,
but it's that observation that you
yeah,
know that you're at a disadvantage. But I honestly feel like those who are extremely talented and
Mhm.
have quote unquote no weaknesses, they're the ones that are at a disadvantage because so much is expected out of them.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're at a, quote unquote disadvantage and you overcome those things, I mean, it's like tenfold
Yeah,
the
for sure.
the payback from that. Like if you're someone who struggles with being athletic, but by some miracle or another, you become a professional athlete because of the hard work and dedication that you put in, that's a bigger win than someone who was a freak athlete and just barely made it. And oftentimes
Yeah,
those people are at an advantage because they have to work at it, because they have to work
for
hard.
sure.
And that hard work, as KD says, hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard.
For sure. For
And
sure.
you're in that moment, you're required to work hard. You don't have that, privilege of talent. And that privilege of talent, 9 times out of 10, will actually knock you off course rather than keep you on the path to success.
For sure. And I think that's kind of why I'm really grateful for who I am, because I think, you know, if I was that dude that had all like the talent in the world, I wouldn't know how to work as hard as I do, and like how to, really grind for something. Um, I think that's why like it's not like I don't really see it as a disadvantage. I just see it as like, extra thing to kind of keep me going. Like, you know what I mean? So it's always been something for me, even if it's even made up in my mind. Who knows? But it's never a bad thing. Like I think if you know how to channel it and not make it like controlling you, or I think it's just use it. You knowing how to use it, even if it's made up in your mind, it could be back to imagination. Like sky's the limit. Like it's always easier to work towards something when you have that chip on your shoulder. I feel like at least.
Yeah, absolutely, Sal. I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I love
No,
talking to you about, you know, the dream that you have, being able to maintain that balance of having that dream and also putting in the work during the week that you know is required, but having that little extra burst of energy and putting it
yeah.
towards something progressive, something that you've always loved is definitely something that I feel like a lot of people make an excuse about. They're like, "Well, I have a family, so I can't, I have to go to work.
Hmm.
I can't do my dream on the side. I can't
Hmm.
start my own business. I can't do that." And you're a testament to, no, you can. You can put in those extra hours, and you can be well balanced. You can
For
also
sure.
hang out with your family, hang out with your girl, hang out with your friends. You can do it if you put the time and effort in it and you want to do it. It's all
Hmm.
about that. It's about the will that you have to accomplish whatever you want to accomplish and to be the best version of yourself in all aspects of your life.
For sure. Yeah, and I would say like the only thing I would change is like I wouldn't wait. I would have done it sooner. Like if you have
Yeah,
that dream, just go for it, man. Just do it. See what happens. You never know. But yeah, I
yeah,
appreciate you having me on too. Like, this is awesome conversation. Like I
yeah,
said, love what you're doing. Um, honored to be on, and yeah, appreciate you having me here.
yeah, absolutely. And for everyone listening, uh, made it this far. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it. Follow us on Instagram at excelcast underscore. Follow us on TikTok at excelcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube at excelcast. Spotify, we're also on there at excelcast. Do the like, comment, subscribe, follow, do the various activities and engagements that you can do on the various social medias. And as always, stay blessed and excel.